So in terms of long-term vision then, how does someone develop that if they have no sense of what they want, they believe in, they like, dislike?
I think everybody knows what they like. Everyone has likes and dislikes, you know. And if they work out what they like, what they enjoy doing, what makes them feel good, then that's the area that they should look at improving upon and trying to succeed in. There's no point trying to succeed in something that you're not really sure about, you don't really like, but everybody might think that you're good at. You know, don't forget about what other people think you should do. Work out what you like to do. What is your passion? What's going to make you happy? What's going to make you get up in the morning and go, great, I'm going to work and I love my work, or I love my job, or I love my sport, or what's going to make you happy every day? That's where you should be heading. And once you've worked out what you really enjoy doing and what's going to make you happy, then you can start looking ahead and going, well, okay, what's on the pathway there? You know, I'll maybe try and do this, and I'll try and do this, and I'll try and get to this level. And that's exactly what I did. Volleyball was my passion, and I just thought, okay, every time I got to a level, I thought, well, that level is attainable now, and then that level is attainable, and hey, maybe a gold medal really is attainable.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about how you harness your nerves. I mean, we all get nervous, you know, whatever we're doing, but particularly when we're performing for whatever reason. How did you learn how to harness and use the nervous anxiety or performance anxiety that you were experiencing? And I guess also, how did that manifest in your body?
When I get nervous, even sometimes today, but especially when I used to play, I used to feel it physically start in my body as a little shake. Like I'd just be standing there, and I can think when I first started speaking a lot in front of big audience, if I started to think about what I was about to do, I would get this little shake. I'd just get this shiver, and then it would go. I'd be like, uh-oh, here it comes. And I could feel it. And it was like a volcano starting off, and then I'd shiver, and then I'd shiver, and then I'd just, like, uncontrollably, but very tiny little shivers that only I could feel. And you probably wouldn't even notice if you were sitting, you know, this far away from me. But yeah, it was tough. I think the only way I got through it was to just go, I've just got to do it. I just got to do it. Just get out there and do it. And it never stopped me from doing anything, nerves. It kind of made, it was almost like a challenge. I love a challenge. And it was kind of like a challenging thing. Okay, let's go out there and try and do it. Mm. And then as soon as you get into it, whatever it is, whether it's speaking in front of audiences or playing in front of 10,000 people, you know, on the beach in Brazil, you know, we were playing for instance, the World Championships back in, I think it was 96. Natalie and I were playing in Brazil, and we're in the final, and, you know, incredibly noisy. The Brazilians just scream and cheer, and it's so noisy. You can barely hear each other on the court. And we were so nervous in the warm-up. And Natalie had stayed in the physio room to get strapped up on her ankle or something, or shoulder, I can't remember what it was. And I went out to the court, and there was no one out there yet. The officials were sort of just starting to come out onto the court, and I came out and put my bag down, and the crowd the crowd was there, 10,000 people. They'd been lining up from 6 o'clock that morning, because the Brazilians are national heroes. The beach volleyball is huge in that country. And they were all there, and they saw me come out, and they're like, whoa! And they all like started screaming, and I don't know what they were saying. They were probably saying, get out of here, you're going to lose or whatever. And I was just so scared. But then I'm like, you know what? I've got to get over this now so I can play. So I had my bikinis on, I had shorts and a T-shirt on. I took my shorts off, I took my T-shirt off, and I started running around the outside of the court, which was right near where they were all sitting, and just waved at them. So I ran around like once, twice as kind of warm up, and just went, I was so scared, but I'm just going, and they're just going, they're lifting, like they're just making so much noise and screaming at me. I have no idea what they were saying, but I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do that now and challenge myself and get it out the way. And then I kind of laughed. And
did Natalie come out and go, what are you doing?
Well, she wasn't out yet, so she didn't see it, but I told her. It was kind of like, well, I could run around in my T-shirt and shorts, so I could just take it all off and get comfortable now.
Show them the full brand. Yeah.
And just go, hey, even though I was petrified on the inside, but we kind of got into it. We didn't win, but it was a good match.
You conquered some fears.
Yeah.
Certainly in terms of what I've read and how you've written up stories around this gold medal, winning the gold medal at the Sydney Olympics, it seems as if you've never wanted something so much in your whole life. But I want to challenge that and ask if, in fact, there has been anything that you wanted that much in your entire life.
We wanted that so much, and I wanted that so much, but only for a small period of my career. It wasn't like I'd been wanting that from the moment I picked up a volleyball or a beach volleyball. It was the last probably year and a half when we realised that it was a possibility. We'd never won a tournament before the Olympics. We'd come second and third so many times, and we'd beaten everyone in the world, but we couldn't crack that gold medal and stand on top. So we knew that there was a possibility. We knew that there was this chance, and it was just the last year and a half we wanted it so much. The one other underlying thing that I wanted in my life was a child. You know, as a female and an athlete, you don't get a lot of chances if you want to have a long career in sport. You don't get the chances. You know, the relationship timing has to be perfect if you want to have it early on and then come back. And that was never the right timing for me. I never had that, the right relationship at the right time to do that. There was always something stopping it, whether the sport or the relationship wasn't ready. You know, the sport, there was another Olympics to play. I'm not ready. So in the back of my mind, the one thing that I always really wanted was to be a mother. And I was, very lucky to do that right at the last moment. And I met the right man, my beautiful husband Max, and we were lucky enough to have Tyson when I was 41 years old. So, and I will forever be grateful for that. And he surpasses everything in my life that I've ever done beforehand. Obviously, I'm very proud of my sporting achievements, but I'm more proud of being his mum. And when I see him, a grown man and a beautiful person, then I'll be more proud. It makes me cry. Than the gold medal.
It's a very significant thing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I don't think I thought about it in that way for a long time, but especially, I guess, when you get into your 30s as an athlete and time's ticking, and you're like, every 4 years there's this big pull, and I think there's a lot of females out there that would feel that way. There's this big pull, like, it's only another 4 years, it's only another 4 years, and then I'll get another chance to maybe win a gold medal or to even make the Olympics. I have some friends in other countries who just want to get to the Olympics and represent their country, and they're putting off, families and things like that. And on the other side, I have friends who could have perhaps made the Olympics but have decided not to do that and go for having the family. So it's a really hard decision for a female to make. It's really tough. But like I said, the timing has to be right, the relationship timing and the sport timing if you want to do it somewhere in the middle. But it can be done. There are many women that have babies come back and get even better.
Yeah, as there are in business, of course.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given in your life?
These are two things that really don't have much to do with sport. When I did have a really heartbreaking breakup with my boyfriend many years ago, and I was, complaining about it all the time, and I probably wasn't very enjoyable to be around because I was just constantly talking about him and how we could get back together and da-da-da. And it was actually a sponsor of ours, and we were out on a boat off St Kilda Beach doing some water skiing. And I was out there and it was a great day and having fun, and I'm talking about my ex-boyfriend and, blah, blah, blah. He just said to me, Kerri, it's a long time in a pine box. Like, get over it. And I just went, wow, you're right. Like, I'm in my 30s. I don't know, how long is life? We don't know. How long's a piece of string? We could be around for 5 years or 50 years. So I thought
5 minutes.
Yeah. I could fall out of that boat and drown. So I just thought, how much longer am I going to keep moaning about what's happened to me in the past? And it taught me such a valuable lesson, because at first I didn't want to forget about him or the heartbreak. So I had to kind of fake it almost. I had to make out that I was over it, and eventually I did get over it, and I did attract my husband into my life because I was over it, or over it on the outside, I guess. It took a lot longer on the inside, but I was then became a happier person to be around, and I met my husband, and away we go. But at that point, I really realised how important it was to just stop dwelling on the bad things that have happened in your life, so you can move forward. And I love telling women about that in my presentations, because there's so many of us that have had those moments or going through that. And the other great bit of information was when our son was not sleeping very well, and he was a fussy eater, and he wasn't the easiest child in the world in the first few years. And one of our friends who has now 2 kids said to me, "Kerri, it gets better." And that's all I kept thinking about. Every time I was up 3 or 4 times a night, or the son wouldn't eat, I'd be spending hours making a beautiful meal, and then he'd just go, "No, don't like it," I'd be like, "Right, okay, it gets better. It just gets better."
Yeah.
So they were 2 pieces of information that really I remember, and I will always remember, and you can relate those to all sorts of situations.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what's happened to you, it will get better.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept, this idea of dwell versus reflect. Dwelling has this sort of
Negative.
intimation. Yeah, it does. There's a negative connotation to it. Whereas reflecting, the way I see it, is about looking back on your life and taking the lessons from what you've learned and applying them to your future.
Exactly.
So even when the lessons have been really tough for you, and so for example, what you were just talking about then, the relationship that went down into the quagmire and was never to be revived, how do you look back on that now in a way that's not dwelling?
I just think, God, why did I waste so long with him? That's kind of the reflection that I get. Like, I wasted a lot of time trying to make something right that wasn't ever going to be right.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I reflect on it, instead of dwelling on all the bits that I thought were right. I thought we were good together, and that's where you can dwell and bring yourself down. Whereas now you look back and go, "Oh, it was so obvious that we weren't going to make it because of this, this and this, and let's try and, take those lessons into the next relationship." And sometimes, I don't think I thought of it consciously.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it consciously now, but perhaps subconsciously, if you're able to do that. But you can't do that if you keep thinking about the past.
Yeah.
The only way you can reflect and not dwell is to start thinking about where you want to be and who you want to be. And I do an exercise in the book that I've just written, The Business of Being an Athlete, but also in my motivational speaking, where I ask people to fill in the sentence, "I am." What is it that they are? Because however they end that sentence is who they are today, in personality or who they feel they are. But why not start that sentence with "I am" and then finish it with who you want to be, and start being that person now? And I use the example of someone like Roger Federer. He didn't think he was the best tennis player in the world or amazing the moment he won his first Wimbledon. He thought that to become the winner of Wimbledon. So I'm kind of saying that you've got to start thinking who you want to be and say, "I am that person now." Because we did that a year and a half before the Olympics. We said, "We're Olympic gold medalists." Because that was the only way we could then understand what it took to become an Olympic gold medalist. And we figured if we act like Olympic gold medalists in everything we do right now, if we become immersed in being an Olympic gold medalist, that means we train like one, we communicate to each other like an Olympic gold medalist should, with that sort of ability. If we look after our bodies, if we do the rehabilitation for our injuries like an Olympic gold medalist would do, then along the way we will pick up the Olympic gold medal. So we figured we had to aim for something really high and become that, and then along the way we would get it. So I'm saying I am an Olympic gold medalist. In 1998 I said I am a 2000 Olympic gold medalist, and it worked for us. And it's hard for people to say, "Oh no, I can't say that I am the CEO of the company that I work for now." People find that really hard to say, but I'm saying you don't have to go and paint it on the wall. Just inside, start believing it, and you'll start doing the things that you need to do to be able to get that position.